In a world filled with constant noise, where everyone is trying to be heard, trying to prove, explain, justify, silence is often misunderstood. Many people associate it with weakness, insecurity, or a lack of confidence. But in reality, choosing to speak less can be one of the strongest expressions of inner power. A woman who does not feel the need to constantly talk, explain herself, or prove her presence is someone who is deeply secure within. She does not depend on noise to validate her existence. Instead, she is comfortable in stillness. This kind of silence is not emptiness, it is control. It reflects a mind that is not easily disturbed, a heart that is not desperate for attention, and a spirit that is grounded. When a woman understands that her value does not increase by how much she speaks, she begins to move differently. She becomes more composed, more observant, and more intentional. Her silence becomes a boundary, protecting her energy from unnecessary conversations and distractions. It is in this quiet strength that her true beauty begins to emerge, because she is no longer trying to compete with the noise around her. When words are used sparingly, they naturally gain more weight. A woman who speaks less understands the value of intentional communication. She does not speak just to fill silence or to gain approval. Instead, she chooses her words carefully, making sure they reflect clarity and truth. This creates a powerful effect. When she finally speaks, people listen. Her words are not overlooked or dismissed because they are not frequent or careless. They carry purpose. In a world where many speak without thinking, reacting instantly to every situation, her measured responses stand out. She becomes someone whose voice holds significance. This doesn't mean she is silent all the time, but rather that she is mindful of when and why she speaks. Each word becomes a reflection of her awareness. Over time, people begin to associate her voice with depth and sincerity. This is the power of intentional speech. It transforms simple words into something impactful and memorable. There is also a quiet intelligence in choosing observation over constant reaction. A woman who speaks less often listens more, and through listening, she understands more than most. She notices details others miss, the tone behind words, the emotions beneath actions, the patterns in behavior. This awareness gives her an advantage, not in a competitive sense, but in how she navigates life. She is not quick to judge or respond impulsively because she takes time to process what she sees and hears. This creates a sense of calm around her. While others may react emotionally, she remains steady, thoughtful, and composed. Her silence allows her to gather information, to reflect, and to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. In this way, her quiet nature becomes a source of strength. It allows her to make better decisions, to avoid unnecessary conflict, and to maintain clarity even in chaotic situations. Emotional discipline is another powerful quality that comes from speaking less. Not every situation deserves a reaction, and not every opinion deserves a response. A woman who understands this does not waste her energy trying to correct everyone or engage in every disagreement. She knows that reacting to everything only creates inner disturbance. Instead, she chooses her battles wisely. This level of control requires self-awareness and maturity. It means being able to pause, to breathe, and to decide whether something is worth her time and attention. Over time, this restraint builds respect. People begin to see her as someone who is not easily shaken, someone who cannot be pulled into unnecessary drama. Her calmness becomes her strength. She is not controlled by her emotions. She guides them. This is what makes her presence feel stable and grounded. Beyond words and reactions, there is something even more powerful: presence. A woman who speaks less often develops a strong, quiet presence that speaks for her. She does not need to announce herself or demand attention. Her energy does that naturally. There is a calm confidence in the way she carries herself, a sense of peace that others can feel. This presence is not created by effort, but by authenticity. She is not trying to impress or perform. She is simply being. And in that authenticity, there is beauty. People are drawn to her, not because she is loud, but because she is real. Her silence allows others to feel comfortable, to trust, and to listen. It creates space for deeper connections, because her communication is not rushed or superficial. In a world full of noise, her quiet presence becomes something rare and valuable. When words are used sparingly, they naturally gain weight and significance. A woman who understands this does not speak just for the sake of being heard, nor does she feel pressured to fill every silence with unnecessary conversation. She recognizes that constant talking often dilutes meaning, turning words into background noise rather than something worth listening to. Instead, she allows silence to exist, and within that silence, her thoughts become clearer and more refined. By the time she chooses to speak, her words are no longer impulsive. They are intentional. This intention is what gives them power. It creates a sense of anticipation, where people begin to value not just what she says, but the fact that she chose to say it at all in a world where many people react instantly. Speaking without fully thinking, her approach stands in contrast. She takes a moment to reflect before expressing herself. This pause is not hesitation, it is awareness. It allows her to filter her thoughts, to remove what is unnecessary, and to focus only on what truly matters. Because of this, her communication becomes clear and direct. There is no confusion, no excess, no need for repeated explanations. Each word serves a purpose. This clarity makes her voice more impactful because people do not have to search for meaning within her words. It is already there, simple and precise. Her restraint also creates a certain presence around her. When someone speaks constantly, their voice becomes familiar to the point of being overlooked. But when someone speaks less, their voice carries a different energy. It draws attention, not because it is loud, but because it is rare. People naturally become more attentive, more focused when she begins to speak. There is a subtle understanding that what she is about to say matters. This is not something she forces. It is a natural result of her discipline. By not overusing her voice, she preserves its value. Intentional speech also reflects emotional intelligence. A woman who chooses her words carefully is aware of their impact, not just on herself, but on others. She understands that words can influence emotions, shape perceptions, and even alter the direction of a situation. Because of this awareness, she avoids careless statements. She does not speak out of anger, frustration, or the need to prove a point. Instead, she communicates with purpose. Even in difficult situations, she remains composed, selecting words that express her thoughts without causing unnecessary harm. This does not mean she avoids honesty. Rather, she delivers truth with balance and control. There is also a sense of authenticity in the way she communicates, because she is not speaking to impress or to gain approval. Her words come from a place of sincerity. She is not trying to sound a certain way or meet expectations. What she says aligns with what she truly thinks and feels. This alignment creates trust. People can sense when someone is genuine, and her intentional way of speaking reinforces that sense. Over time, this builds a reputation. She becomes known as someone whose words are reliable, meaningful, and worth paying attention to. Another aspect of intentional speech is knowing when not to speak at all. Not every situation requires her input, and she is comfortable with that. She does not feel the need to comment on everything or to insert herself into every conversation. This ability to hold back is just as important as the ability to speak. It shows confidence because she does not rely on constant expression to feel relevant. She understands that silence can sometimes communicate more than words ever could. It can show disapproval, agreement, patience, or simply a sense of peace. Over time, this way of speaking transforms how others perceive her. Her words are not taken lightly because they are not given freely. They carry intention, clarity, and depth. People begin to listen more carefully, not out of obligation, but out of genuine interest. Her voice becomes something that stands out, not because it dominates the conversation, but because it adds value to it. There is a quiet strength in choosing observation over constant reaction. A woman who embraces this way of being does not rush to respond to everything she sees or hears. Instead, she allows herself the space to truly take in what is happening around her. She listens carefully, not just to words, but to tone, pauses, and what is left unsaid. She watches how people behave, how they treat others, how they respond under pressure. Through this, she begins to understand patterns that many overlook. While others are busy reacting, she is absorbing. And in that stillness, she gains clarity. This ability to observe deeply creates a different kind of awareness. It allows her to see beyond surface level interactions. She can sense when someone is being genuine or when they are simply performing. She can recognize intentions even when they are not openly expressed. This is not because she assumes or judges quickly, but because she takes the time to notice details. Her mind is not clouded by the need to immediately respond, defend, or prove something. Instead, it remains open and attentive. This openness gives her a deeper understanding of people and situations, making her responses more thoughtful and grounded. When a person reacts instantly, their response is often driven by emotion. Anger, frustration, excitement, or insecurity can take control, leading to words or actions that are later regretted. A woman who prioritizes observation creates a space between what happens and how she responds. In that space, she has the power to choose. She is not controlled by the moment. She is aware of it. This awareness allows her to respond with intention rather than impulse. Even in situations that might trigger others, she remains steady. Her calmness is not a sign that she does not feel. It is a sign that she understands her emotions without being ruled by them. This approach also protects her energy. Reacting to everything can be exhausting. It pulls attention in multiple directions and creates unnecessary stress. By choosing not to engage with every comment, every opinion, or every situation, she preserves her focus. She directs her energy toward what truly matters. This does not mean she is indifferent or disconnected. It means she is selective. She understands that not everything deserves her time or attention. This selectiveness allows her to maintain a sense of inner peace, even when the environment around her is chaotic observation also strengthens her decision-making. Because she takes the time to understand situations fully, she is less likely to make choices based on incomplete information. She sees the bigger picture. She considers different perspectives. She reflects before acting. This leads to decisions that are more balanced and thoughtful. While others may act quickly and later correct themselves, she moves with quiet confidence, knowing that she has taken the time to understand what truly matters. This kind of clarity is not rushed. It is developed through patience. There is also a certain presence that comes with this way of being. A woman who observes more than she reacts often appears calm, composed, and grounded. People may not always understand why, but they feel it. There is a steadiness in her energy that creates a sense of trust. She is not unpredictable or reactive. She does not escalate situations unnecessarily. Instead, she brings a sense of balance. Others may find themselves feeling more at ease around her because her presence is not overwhelming or chaotic. Over time, this habit of observation shapes her into someone who carries quiet wisdom. She does not need to speak constantly to demonstrate understanding. When she does speak, it becomes clear that her words are based on careful thought and genuine insight. This is what makes her perspective valuable. It is not formed in haste, but in awareness. And because of this, her voice carries a depth that cannot be imitated by someone who simply reacts without thinking. Emotional discipline is one of the most powerful forms of self-mastery a woman can develop. It begins with the understanding that not every situation deserves a reaction, and not every opinion deserves a response. In a world where people are constantly expressing, reacting, and engaging in every small conflict, choosing restraint becomes a quiet form of strength. A woman who practices emotional discipline does not allow her feelings to control her actions. Instead, she becomes aware of them, understands them, and then decides how to respond. This awareness creates a space between emotion and reaction, and in that space, she finds her power. It is easy to react. It requires no effort to speak in anger, to respond out of frustration, or to defend oneself impulsively. But these reactions often come with consequences, misunderstandings, regret, and unnecessary conflict. A woman with emotional discipline recognizes this. She understands that a moment of uncontrolled emotion can create lasting damage. Because of this, she chooses to pause. She gives herself time to process what she feels before expressing it. This pause is not a sign of weakness or suppression. It is a deliberate act of control. It allows her to respond in a way that aligns with her values rather than her impulses. This kind of restraint does not mean she ignores her emotions. On the contrary, she is deeply aware of them. She acknowledges when she feels hurt, angry, or disappointed, but she does not let those feelings dictate her behavior. Instead of reacting immediately, she reflects. She asks herself whether the situation truly deserves her energy, whether her response will add value, or simply create more tension. This level of self-awareness requires honesty and maturity. It means being able to step back from the moment and see it clearly without being consumed by it. Over time, this discipline changes how others perceive her. People begin to notice that she is not easily provoked. She does not engage in unnecessary arguments or allow herself to be drawn into drama. This creates a sense of respect. Others understand that she values her peace and will not compromise it for fleeting emotions or trivial matters. Her calmness becomes her strength in situations where others may become loud or reactive. She remains steady. This steadiness has a grounding effect. It brings balance to conversations and prevents situations from escalating unnecessarily. Emotional discipline also protects her inner world. Constant reactions can create chaos within the mind, making it difficult to find peace or clarity. By choosing when to engage and when to step back, she maintains a sense of control over her mental and emotional state. She is not constantly pulled in different directions by external circumstances. Instead, she remains centered. This allows her to think more clearly, to make better decisions, and to move through life with a sense of calm confidence. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from not needing to prove oneself in every situation. A woman with emotional discipline does not feel the need to correct everyone, to win every argument, or to defend every opinion. She understands that her worth is not defined by others' perceptions. Because of this, she is able to let things go that do not truly matter. This ability to release what is unnecessary creates a sense of freedom. She is no longer burdened by the need to control every outcome or to be understood by everyone. In difficult moments, this discipline becomes even more valuable. When faced with criticism, conflict, or misunderstanding, she does not react defensively. She listens, considers, and then responds with clarity. Even when she chooses to speak firmly, there is a sense of control in her words. They are not driven by anger, but by intention. This makes her communication more effective because it is not clouded by emotion. People are more likely to listen, not because she raises her voice, but because she maintains her composure. Through this practice, she develops a kind of inner stability that is not easily shaken. External situations may change, people may behave unpredictably, but she remains grounded within herself. This stability is what allows her to move through life with quiet strength. It is not something that can be easily seen, but it can be felt in her presence, in her decisions, and in the way she carries herself. There is a form of communication that goes beyond words. Something subtle yet deeply powerful. A woman who speaks less often develops a presence that begins to speak for her. This presence is not something she forces or performs. It is something that naturally emerges when she is aligned within herself. It is reflected in the way she carries her body, the calmness in her movements, the steadiness in her gaze, and the quiet confidence in her demeanor. Without saying much, she communicates a sense of self-assurance and clarity. People may not always be able to explain it, but they can feel it. Her energy enters the room before her words do. This kind of presence is built through authenticity. She is not trying to impress others or seek approval. She is not adjusting herself to fit into every situation or to meet every expectation. Instead, she remains true to who she is. This consistency creates a sense of stability. When someone is genuine, their presence feels real and grounded. There is no confusion, no mixed signals. A woman who embodies this does not need to speak constantly to define herself, because her actions, her expressions, and her energy already do that. She becomes someone who is understood even in silence. In a world where many people rely heavily on words to be noticed, her quiet presence stands out. It draws attention not because it demands it, but because it is rare. Most people are used to noise, to constant talking, to the need for validation through expression. When they encounter someone who is calm and composed, who does not seek attention yet naturally receives it. It creates curiosity. There is something intriguing about someone who does not reveal everything through words. It invites others to observe, to listen more carefully, and to connect on a deeper level. Her presence also creates a sense of comfort for others. Because she is not overwhelming or overly expressive, people feel at ease around her. There is space in her energy, space for others to be themselves without pressure. She listens without interrupting, observes without judging, and responds without rushing. This creates an environment where deeper connections can form. Conversations with her feel more meaningful because they are not filled with distractions or unnecessary noise. Even in silence, there is a sense of understanding. This is the power of presence. It allows connection without forcing it. There is also a quiet authority in the way she carries herself. A woman who is comfortable in her own presence does not need to assert dominance or control through words. Her confidence is not loud or aggressive. It is steady and calm. This kind of confidence naturally commands respect. People recognize that she does not rely on external validation, and this makes her less predictable, less influenced by others' opinions. She becomes someone who stands firm in her own space, not because she is trying to, but because she truly is grounded within herself. This presence is strengthened by her ability to remain composed in different situations. Whether she is in a calm environment or a challenging one, she maintains a certain balance. She does not shift drastically based on external circumstances. This consistency makes her presence feel reliable. Others may find themselves looking to her for stability. Even if she says very little, her calmness becomes a quiet anchor in moments of tension or uncertainty. Over time, this way of being becomes her natural state. She no longer feels the need to fill silence or to constantly express herself to be understood. She trusts that who she is will be felt without explanation. Her presence becomes her language, her energy becomes her message, and her authenticity becomes her strength. In this, there is a unique kind of beauty, one that is not dependent on words, but on the quiet power of simply being. In the end, true beauty is not found in how loudly someone speaks, but in how deeply they are felt. A woman who speaks less and means more does not chase attention. She attracts it through her presence, her clarity, and her quiet strength. She understands that words are tools, not decorations, and she uses them with purpose. She knows when to step forward with her voice and when to step back into stillness. And in that balance, she finds her power. She is not trying to prove her worth to the world because she has already recognized it within herself. This inner knowing shapes everything: her silence, her words, her reactions, and her presence. While others may be caught in the need to constantly express, defend, or explain, she remains centered. She trusts that what truly matters will be understood without force. And that is what sets her apart. Not noise, not excess, but intention, awareness, and authenticity. Her beauty lies in the fact that she does not need to say everything to be understood. She simply speaks what matters and leaves the rest in silence.